Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to another episode of Convos podcast. Each and every Wednesday we bring to you artists, CEOs, and entrepreneurs that are winning in their particular industries. And today I have my coach, Mr. Justin Richardson, in the building. Y'all give it up for him. Make sure y'all shout out him, follow him. Ayo, just three O's. That's the only page you have. Just go ahead and let the audience know who you are and what you do for the second time around.
Most definitely for sure. I tell you how to find my award the second time around. You know what I'm saying? So this year one, I'm excited for year two. But most definitely, Justin Richardson, go by Ayo Just for many years. We're way before Instagram. That was my name. But I am a serial entrepreneur. But what I'm most known for as on the internet as an influencer is short-term rentals, Airbnb, property management, real estate. You can say is what I'm most known for and what I've helped a lot of people have success in. 33 years young. I'm a husband of one. I'm a father of two, and yeah, I'm just enjoying life, growing through life. So that's where we at right now. Appreciate you, Dricka, for having me on again. Super excited.
For sure. Now you done showed me up. I should have brought my award.
Nah, you got a lot of awards. You have a lot. You have a lot. You shit. A couple years, I won't be surprised you post. I just got a Grammy. I got an Emmy. As much recognition you be getting, you be
right. So look, we're gonna jump right into it. Y'all already know we know each other. This is my brother, this is my family. We make money together, we make moves together. And I just wanna start off by asking you, what do you think? We all feel like we're successful, right? Success is relative in our industries and things that we're doing in life, right? What does your morning routine consist of?
So do you really let me keep it
Yes.
PG?
I want you to keep it 100 because I feel like so many times people get stirred fluff and it's like, oh, I wake up and I meditate and I pray and I do all every day not gonna look the same, right? So we need to tell people exactly what a successful person's morning routine is like. Like what do y'all think our morning routine looks like? Sometimes we share with y'all on social media, sometimes we don't. So I'm just asking you, what is yours?
Yeah, no, I'm not a fluff type of guy. A lot of this stuff, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. A lot of the stuff that y'all see, people be talking about, oh, I wait, like she said, wake up, I meditate, I do this, I do that. I read the book for an hour. Listen, all of that is I can say I know people that do that personally, and I'm running laps around them. All right. So all of that, I'm not gonna say I'm super consistent with my personal development. I have actually read most of the books that you see back here. I'm not really deep into that. I think it just takes a season for you to, go once you discover personal development, really working on yourself and your mindset, because your mind is also a muscle. When you first discover personal development, like people will tell you, I wake up, I read hours of chat books. Like, listen, I read 10 pages a day, and it was a season of my life where I really dived into personal development. But then after that, you just maintaining it. So it's like you take a season of your life to lose weight, gain weight, whatever, change your habits, and then it's to maintain it. So am I the person that's like always in a book, always listening to, a podcast? I maintain how my mind is because it just takes you a season for you to unlearn and relearn certain things. But my morning routine, I wake up, first thing I do, I thank God for, I do pray. For those of you that hear people say that, I actually so I do wake up. I have to, like, God is, I take that seriously.
Every source,
yes, that is the source of everything alive and not alive. So I wake up, I say my prayers for sure. I'm grateful to God to see another day, another fresh 24 hours. And then I make my tea. So I get my ginger tea and my black seed oil in there. So I've been doing that for a couple years now. Keep my skin nice and smooth, my hair. I got a full hairline at the age of 33. I'm in the 1%.
Man, yes.
100%. Full hairline at 33. All right. So I do that. And we're gonna keep it real, right? I do roll my medicine. I'll put it like that. I roll my medicine. I get on my no phone for about the first, I'm not always consistent with that, but when because the phone thing is like, it's second nature now. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So when I'm conscious of like, no phone for just the first hour, which I'm pretty consistent. All the time, no. But most of the time I'm consistent, no phone for the first hour. And I just sit on my patio, I look at the air, I talk to God.
The nature, yeah.
Nature. When it rains, my morning is turned up. I love the rain. I love the feel of it. It's just a meditation type of moment for me. But do I meditate? Not consistently. But I do. If I'm able to get into the gym, I go to the gym every other day. So that's about 4 or 5 times a week. Okay. And I just, in my mind, I tell myself, just get 30 minutes in. But when you train yourself to think it's 30 minutes, when you get there, you're really there for about an hour 15.
Right.
So that's really my morning routine. But when it comes to fitness and stuff like that, that's every other day for me. But I make sure whatever that day is, I get it in. So it's some days where I wake up and things do pop up. As an entrepreneur, you got to get to it. But I make sure by the end of the day, I at least get my hour 15, 30 minutes in, if it's my day for the gym. Because like we talked about before we got on this call, those 30s start kicking in. You start feeling that. So definitely, yes. I stretch every single morning. I do at least about 45 minutes of stretching every single morning. I'm very consistent with that.
That's interesting because I just said I wanted to start getting into like yoga or like something else for myself.
I tried. I'm just simple, man. I'm like, for me, you know what I'm saying? For me, it don't take all of that. You know what I'm saying? For me. Some people is like, I got to do all of the yoga, the this, the that, I got to get in a yoga class. I got to do hot yoga, cold.
I just need something like that push for me as far as like yoga and stretching. Because even when I work out, I don't stretch. I just go straight into the workout. I go straight into the 1,000 steps or straight into the treadmill or whatever I'm doing, or cardio or whatever I'm doing for that day or that week. And I don't really, I don't take it serious. Like I'm not an athletic person. So like we just did in my mentorship group, we just did a 3 a.m. challenge and everybody had to wake up at 3 a.m. Most people usually wake up at 5, but they wake up at 5 and go straight into their day. Like they don't have a chance to create a morning routine or sit down and have tea or, turn your phone off at a certain time. Like my phone automatically is on do not disturb from
your phone is do not disturb right now. Like your phone is always on do not disturb.
Because I just feel like this. Otherwise, I'm gonna just be in my phone all day. Like as soon as somebody calls, as soon as somebody texts, and I just felt enslaved to my phone. And I was like, I have to figure out a way for me to not just sit there and be on my phone all day or hopping from app to app or hopping from text message to email and it was just becoming overwhelming, like just being on the phone and holding on to that device all day and being at everybody else beck and call. So I just keep it on do not disturb for a certain time to a certain time. If I'm off work, it's definitely on do not disturb. Like most of the time my social media when I'm physically active is like early in the morning when we bringing the kids to school or driving back from bringing the kids to school or work or whatever. But other than that, I'm not physically sitting on the phone all day. Like I have my team scheduling my stuff out and I'm trying to stick to the programs and the marketing plans that they have me on, like go live at this time, do this at this time. So I'm not just focused on being on social media all day because that was one of my biggest challenges because I would spend so much time on there until I started looking at my screen time. And I think we talked about this like before. I was just looking at my screen time like, dang, we limit our kids' screen time on watching certain stuff and being on social media and being on all these apps. But we don't monitor our own stuff, but they're going to mimic what we do, not what we tell them to do. So I had to start putting the phone down and being physically active, like physically present. Like, hey, not just saying, oh, how was your day at school while I'm still in my phone or I'm listening to the radio and, not being actually present. So I like to put my phone on do not disturb and just be out the loop for a little while. Sometimes I come back and buku stuff that happens. Sometimes I come back and it's still the same old, same old. So I just like to take my own piece doing that.
No,
But
that's important for your mental.
staying on, yeah, I mean, it's important for me to stay on task because now I could get so much more done, like as far as sending out emails or staying on task with my team, making sure that they're getting everything that they need from me, and I'm doing everything that I need to do for them and my clients, and just keeping up with it all because it's not just one business. We have several businesses. Sometimes, other things, other fires we gotta put out. And with that being said, I want to ask you, like, what's one of your biggest failures and what did you learn from that experience? Because here we always talk about the success, the good, the good, the good, but I feel like new entrepreneurs are not being privy to like the failures that we've had. Like we talk about it a little bit, but we feel like we don't want to shine a light on failure too much, or even if we consider it as a failure or just a lesson. But what would you say one of your biggest failures were, and what did you learn from it?
Oh man, I mean, I have a few, but I would say, I don't know. I don't know if I look at it as a failure, because I really try to look at it as a learning lesson, growth season, or whatever the case may be. Even like bad days, I like to call them character building days.
I like that.
But I say, quitting my job too early. The third time was a charm, which was during the pandemic, July 8th, 2020. But I have left my job a few times, just being that entrepreneur, uneducated, the money's coming in and you're not saving for rainy days and things happen. That happened several times for me. The first time was actually when my wife, and we had one son at the time, Chase. Now we have two. But when we moved here from New York, back in that was about 2016. At that time, came down on a full-time, income from a network marketing company that I was in, and the company went out of business, and they was basically paying my car at the time. They based on your performance, they give you these cars. I had a BMW. They was paying for that. But the company ended up making some bad decisions at the top, which pretty much affected everybody. And that BMW, I ended up doing DoorDash out of it. I was doing Uber Eats. I had to make sacrifices. I worked at a pet shop. I didn't know nothing about pets at all, but I got a baby on the way. I got things.
You gotta do what you gotta do, right?
What I gotta do, So that was something that I learned from, but obviously I didn't learn well enough because it happened again. We had some hiccups in our cleaning company that was holding us down for a while. That was our business that we made our first 6 figures in, was the cleaning company. So that I ended up leaving my job when that was pretty much coming in consistently, and the work was coming in. But in our cleaning business, there's insurance is serious when it comes to janitorial. So our insurance has lapsed. Long story short, our insurance lapsed. You don't get paid out. You don't get your net 30 checks that they pay us out on until you're in compliance. So we was out of compliance. For like 4 months. I'm like, wow. I got to go back to work. So went back, and that's when I was working in property management. And that's why I appreciate that company so much, because they actually hired me 2 times. So I left the first time, but we were still on good terms. Went back the second time. And the third time we left on good terms because we still have our cleaning contract with them, So, but yeah, that's, if I had to give you one, because there's several, we could be on this for a long time. Episode 2, episode 3, talking about this. But I would say,
listen, the biggest thing is I have to fail forward.
But I would say this, to what I learned from that experience is, and this is what I even teach in the course, when people ask me, just when's a good time to leave my job? When I'm in my mentorship and coaching, when's a good time I can leave my job? And I'm like, listen, until you have at least about 6 to 7 months of just living, you're living, expenses just sitting there, right? Open an account that you're just not touching for rainy days. You know, I tell people all the time, even when it's like, oh, I got my first unit, that's great. Just make sure you have that little safety net, because Murphy's Law, anything that can happen will happen. Big problems, small problems, life just lifes. Life be lifing. You know, personal, business, your kids' lives be lifing. So I always tell people, you know, focus on what you can control. Don't let other people's problems become your problems. But definitely when it comes to leaving your job, you got to think about insurance. You know, I'm a out-of-pocket type of person. You know what I'm saying? I have life insurance, several hefty life insurance policies. You gotta consider those type of things. You know, your kids have to have health insurance. They're in school, they're in sports. So our kids have, these are things that I had to think, we got to think about when we become full-time entrepreneurs. Definitely multiple accounts that you're just not touching. You have at least 2 to 3 accounts that, you know, funds are going in that you're just not touching, whether it be an investment account, Schwab, TD, Ameritrade, whatever you choose to go with. That's important. Your life insurance can also be your, and I know these are things that you know too. You know, you're the finance guru, but I'm just saying, in my experience and what I learned from my mistakes, these are things that you have to set yourself up for, prepare for before leaving your job. Like I was still working my 9 to 5 in property management, making a little over $45,000 a year, but our cleaning company, which was contracted through the company I was working for, was generating 6 figures. So I was at my 9 to 5. Keisha went full-time as an entrepreneur first, but we were still bringing in 6 figures. There's some people that's like, oh, I just hit 10K, I'm out of here. Listen, when you have children, when you know what I'm saying? Like, when you're not thinking of, maybe if you single, ain't got no responsibilities, but when you are grown and you got a family, these are things that you got to consider before walking away. Like, of course, there were days where I'm like, man, I could literally just come in here and say something stupid to me and I'm out, you know. But I remember the first 2 times I did that, and it, you know, brought me back in those doors again. So I would say that's something that I learned from. And I can definitely go on and on about how to just prepare yourself for becoming a full-time entrepreneur. But I know that'll take up a lot more time. But those are just things, you know, to consider.
No, that was really, really good. A couple of things that you said. One, insurance. A lot of people don't realize that life insurance is a tool, right, that you can use to pull money out of if you don't let it lapse. And if you continue and pay into it a few years or a few months, right? And then another thing, health insurance that you said earlier. Being an entrepreneur, health insurance is a little bit more expensive than being at a company where you get group rates and all of these things. People don't realize that, or people feel like, well, I'm keeping my job, I'm still a hybrid entrepreneur because of the insurance. So I'm not going to leave the job. I'm going to go part-time or whatever the case may be. Whatever works for your situation, let it work for your situation. I do agree with having 6 to 7 months on the side. And of course, you'll know I agree with having multiple accounts. I always tell people personally and professionally, you should have at least 3 accounts at minimum. One for income, one for expenses, one for savings. And savings is going to teeter-totter over into taxes depending on your tax bracket, right? So having money on the side for when tax time comes for you to pay your taxes. If you're in that tax bracket, having money on the side for if hurricane season comes, if you live in an area where y'all get hit with other type of natural disasters, tornadoes, wildfires, etc., right? We live in New Orleans, so we get hit with hurricanes, you know, every now and then. If you're in Florida, it might be different for you. If you're in Atlanta, it might be different for you. If you're in Cali, it might be different for you, right? Because I know people are listening from all over the world, but we just want to give you the scenarios or the steps that we took and the times that we bumped our head and said, you know what, I'm not ready, right? Because I know I sat up here and quit jobs before for little or nothing. Like, what? Take out the trash? I don't take out the trash. I'm leaving. But, like, my mom and they would laugh at me. I'm telling you, I literally quit a job because it was like, you got to take out the trash. I'm like, I ain't taking out no trash.
Man. I quit Arby's. Arby's was my first job when I was in high school. And I remember I quit that job. I was doing my thing at the fry station, you know what I'm saying? My little curly fries, my nuggets. And then the manager came over there because somebody came to the register and was like, I didn't order this. She threw the fries with the cup in my station that I just cleaned. So and
Yeah, that
this is
was it. Like
it was
some
it.
stuff is like, I'm not dealing with this. This ain't for me. So like
Nah.
coming from like being a waiter and coming from being a waitress and being a cashier and all of those things, it gave me like cash handling experience. Like as fast as it could come, that's how fast it could go. So that kind of taught me a little bit about money management, not spending all my money, having a goal, how much I want to make each day, how much I need to make my bills and stuff like that. That helped me out on the lower end. So when I was able to secure a job, like while I was going through college and actual sit down, weekends off, things like that, I'm like, okay, so I make way more money here. I know I used to be able to manage all $500 a week or whatever being a waitress. I know I can manage $1,200 or whatever every week or every 2 weeks. I can manage from there, but most people can't manage the little, so they always think that they need more. But magically getting more money is not going to be the solution. So I always tell people, remember that too. Oh, I need a raise. Oh, I need more money. Oh, this company is making more money. I should be getting more money. Like you're not understanding the level of overhead that this company may have, or you don't understand why everything is so seamless for you because this company has these things in place for you, right? For the employees. Sometimes the company might not even be able to cover what they have to cover, but they're making sure that other people's households are straight, right? So thinking about money management is very, very key, especially when you're coming from corporate going into entrepreneurship.
And and even when it comes to, like you said, some people at their job and they're like, oh, I should be getting more because of the amount of work that I'm doing. And most of the time, the people that are at the bottom of that company are doing, at least physically, most of the work. Mentally, even if you're not doing a physical job, I know for me, when I started out as a leasing agent, it was mental because I was dealing with hundreds of people every single day that's looking for a place to live. So my thing when it comes to people that want to make more money, whether it be at your job or whether it be you want your business to make more money, it's based on your value that you bring to the market. There's a lot of people out here teaching short-term rentals, people teaching and coaching and mentoring, taxes, right? But as far as getting people in to join your mentorship, to join your coaching, to purchase your t-shirts, you have to make yourself more valuable to the marketplace, even if it's just adding value to your marketing. When it comes to your 9 to 5, your piece of paper might be the value. You got a high school diploma? Or do you have a 4-year degree? What is the value you're bringing? And it's true. Some people who don't have a degree can actually bring more value, but what's on paper? You know what I'm saying? Yep. So it's about, and then sometimes you just need to open your mouth with the ideas you might have for that company. That's what helped me. I didn't have a degree, but I had ideas for the company. I performed very well. I was closing the most, increase in occupancy and stuff like that. So because of my performance, I brought more value and I started making more money. So what do you, business, personal, your 9 to 5, the market will tell you. It's the same thing in real estate. You can't just put a house up for sale and say, I want $1 million, but it's only worth $250,000. The value, the market is going to tell you what it's worth, not you. And that's personal and that's in business.
100%. I always tell people that, and not only that, negotiation. Like even if you plan on, if you're not an entrepreneur, you just like to invest in certain things that may help you get passive income, such as the short-term rental industry or taxes. I was just telling a girl the other day, you can own a tax business and not do taxes. One of my colleagues does it. Like she is not hands-on with her tax business at all. Her employees and contractors do all of her clients' taxes, and she's just like, I have a tax company. You don't hear me say nothing about it. I say, you're right too. And that's kind of like the shift that I went into with Carter and Associates. And I was like, I'm not forcing the person that I sell the software to be the tax preparer. I'm forcing them to build a tax firm. And so we're taking a different approach just from having that conversation. She doesn't know that how much value she added to me just by having that conversation with her about, I don't even talk about my tax company. I just let it run on its own. And so same thing, like we've built companies that have valuations that can run on their own. We have teams that can allow our companies to run on their own, but so much so that we're in a forefront and people are used to seeing us, they gravitate to us.
Yeah.
And that's kind
Yeah.
of hard to wean people off,
trap.
you know? It
That's
is
the
a trap. People
Yeah.
try to, it's like you're trying to wean them off and like, okay, listen, this
We
is the
want
company.
you. We want
Me.
Dricka. Yeah. I told you, the massage therapist we have, he's like, okay, I'm gonna send somebody. I'm like, no, I want you to.
No, I want you. Exactly.
Yeah. I
Exactly.
I understand, man. When you
That's
get paid,
big though. It's big,
yeah.
especially with entrepreneurship, because people feel like entrepreneur is one person. Like you can't have a big company because you're an entrepreneur. You can't have a team because you're an entrepreneur. So I'm looking to only work with you. But you should be able to trust whoever I put into those positions. So like I spoke on a panel last week and they was talking about like how do I build a team or build a sustainable company and things of that nature. And I went on to say just hiring people that I could trust, putting people in the positions that they desire to be in, because you could put somebody in a position, but if that's not what they hard at, they're not going to fulfill it how you need it to be fulfilled. And also getting people to work in places where you're weak, right? I know I'm weak at quote unquote marketing. Like I could be consistent. Yeah, I could post all day, but that's not marketing. So creating those visions that go with what I have in my mind, that's not my lane. It's not my ministry. I ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna call Bree or Tempest, in a second and be like, hey, how you do this? Can you fix this for me? Can you give me some graphics to go with this? And then I allow my team to go ahead and fill in when they can. But I can't just see myself trying to be jack of all trades anymore. Like I've done that as an entrepreneur, but I know right now where I am now, I cannot continue to do that in the space that I'm going in the direction that it's flowing in.
You got to master. They say jack of all trades, master of none. You got to master it, man. And it's crazy. Me and my best friend was talking about, we want to make peaceful money. Any new venture we get into, I want my team to be very small. I want the quality over quantity. Team very small, a lot of income coming in, a lot of generating. But yeah, like your colleague, like your friends said, it just runs on its own. I'm like, yeah, that's peaceful money. Like, don't call me. Like, even if it's an emergency, don't even think of my name. Don't even sneeze.
That was so hard for me to do because I was the person that was always answering. As soon as I call, she gonna answer. As soon as I text, she gonna answer. As soon as I email, she gonna answer. And it was like, do you ever sleep? Because you always answer. Like they didn't even have the expectation of me not answering until now. So now they are getting acclimated to calling the 1-800 number, to emailing back, to texting back, and stuff like that because I had to literally reteach them how to do business with us versus just always wanting to speak to Dricka. It was a time where, like, for the first, I ain't gonna lie, like last year was my first time really taking off and like traveling during tax season and being able to take off Q3 and stuff like that after almost 10 years, right? So just think about that. Working year round in the pandemic years, we had extended tax seasons and stuff like that. So I was already acclimated to just keep going. So I never really had a pause or a stop during my entrepreneurship journey. Even when I was a hybrid entrepreneur, I was working my 9 to 5. Truth be told, I probably was still doing my taxes while I'm at these people's job. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, well, I got this and I got this down pat. I wasn't really too much worried about it until, of course, I, wasn't in that position anymore. And it's like, dang, I don't have nothing to do for these 8 hours. My side hustle was the jokes that was getting me through the 8 hours or whatever. But now it's like, okay, well, this all I got. I don't have a plan B. What am I going to do now? Now I need to enforce the policies and procedures that I've been writing all this time for me to, enforce in my business and things like that. But people didn't realize what I was doing until, let's see, I stopped working in 2018. So this about to be my 5th, 6th year going into entrepreneurship full time. And I'm looking at it like, look, I could build any business up. I just have to focus on one at a time. And that's what I did. So I focused on the taxes, and that led me to open up the restaurant, and that led me to close that down, open up the Airbnb business and stuff like that. And just knowing how to pivot on the entrepreneurship journey, whether it's the highs, whether it's the lows, whether it's peak season, slow season, whatever, knowing how to pivot and manage money is going to be key. I want to ask you if you would go back. I would say 18, but 18 we wasn't really listening to nobody if we being real. So I'm gonna go back and say if you would go back to your 21-year-old self, what would you give yourself a piece of advice? What would you give yourself? What kind of advice would you give yourself?
21.
Can you do something for me?
But man, I needed a lot done for me at 21. Yeah, 20. So 20 is when we found out Keisha was pregnant with Chase.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't planned, but it was the best thing to happen for us. What would I tell myself? I would say, dang, I was in hustle mode back then. Like I was working in, multiple barbershops in Brooklyn. I was doing things on the side I had no business doing. Not like
We've been there
all the way down to when Chase was born. My mother I was doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing. My mother was like, "You need to get to this hospital right now. I don't care what you're doing in the street." And I was trying to get money. My mind is like, I need to get money. My son is on the way. Oh, that's all. Right. So, but man, dang, what would I tell myself at 21? That's it. That's. I need a different age because that one I was like,
Well, I'm gonna say, all right, because men kind of grew up later than us. All right, I'm gonna say 25. Then I'm gonna say 25.
25. What would I tell myself at 25? What was I doing? I know I was in network marketing. Dang, what would I tell myself? Dang, that's at 25. Because see, 25 is when I finally found mentorship. So okay. Yeah, like 21. What would okay, let me go back to 21. At 21, I would tell myself, dang, focus on one thing. I would say that focus on one thing, be consistent in one. That's something my mother used to tell me. Like, Justin, you're so smart, but you get bored too easy. You don't see it through. You jump, you get to this, and then you get bored, and then you jump to the next thing. You wanted a barbershop, then you wanted to have a video and photography studio, then you got into this and that. So I would say, because like you said, we know how to start businesses. Like, even when I was doing video production and photography, it was just self-taught. It was just YouTubing. When it came to me cutting hair, making a couple grand a week at 18, 19, and doing other things. Like I really went home. I was living in the hood, but I'll be in home 10 o'clock at night watching YouTube videos so I could be better the next morning. So right. I was, whatever I set something to do, I was, in it. I was passionate about it. And once I got really, really good and it was no longer a challenge for me, I started something else. So that's my thing. It's not that, things got, I wasn't good at it. I would get good at it. I would force myself to be good at it. But when I get really good at it, it's
not interesting no more.
Yeah, it's not a challenge. Like, I figured it out. I mastered it. It's not a challenge. You know what I'm saying? So I would say, see it through. Like, who knows who I could have been. The way that I network and talk and get in rooms, I could have been cutting, I don't know, the fucking Atlanta Falcons. You know what I'm saying? I could have been the official barber for the New York Giants by now.
Right.
I did have those dreams, but at the same time, I had in the one side of my head, like, I got to get money now. I have a kid. My mother was also saying in my head, saying, you can't be doing these hustles anymore and these little small businesses, even though she did support, you know what I'm saying, in a way. Her thing was, you have a son now, Justin. You need insurance. You need a real job. And that's when I ended up, stopping, pausing, and I do need insurance. I do need a job. You know what I'm saying? So I would say, something I would tell myself back then is see it through. Who knows how many barbershops I would have had by now? Who knows whose hair I could have been cutting by now? When I was doing video production and photography, I was doing the concerts. I was backstage. I was traveling with celebrities all over the world because of how I talked, because of how I focused on the quality of my videos, You know, I used to go on World Star Hip Hop, and I would watch all the Big Sean documentaries when they was on tour, Wiz Khalifa, and I would take it, buy some of that stuff to the clients and celebrities I was working with. So whatever idea came and whatever business I got into, I would really take the craft serious. But when it got bored, when it wasn't a challenge, I moved on. Now the videos was different. We got hit by Hurricane Sandy, and I had no insurance on none of my equipment. So when the hurricane came through, I had to tag it on up like a U-Haul truck. It was like, dang, because we would take our tax money, and buy the stuff.
Keep it real, come on.
And buy all the equipment. Oh, you want insurance? Nah, I don't need that.
Nope, I'm not paying no extra $99.
Yeah. So I would say be consistent in one thing and see it through. Because I never know where I could have been. Me and Keisha, we met. We were both party promoters. She had her group, I had my group. I was DJing. I was in some of these clubs in Atlanta. I was in some of these clubs when I was in college at 17 years old. Because I took my craft serious. I was really good at music. I had a New York background. I had an Atlanta background. So, and that's how I met Keisha. I was a DJ. If who know now, I got my little cousin who also came up as a DJ. He used to ask me questions about music and using this tool and that tool, and now he is the engineer for Summer Walker's albums.
Don't play with Dos Diaz. Shout him out.
Shout out to my cousin Dos Diaz. Well, we call him Day Day, but yeah, and then I got other people who's actually that I used to DJ with, and now they are the CEOs of record labels. So who knows what would have happened had I seen things through. So that's what would be my advice to y'all. Y'all probably got something going on. See it through. There's always new levels when you get to that point and you're like, yeah, you know what, I am getting bored. There's a new level to it. Bring on a new challenge for that business and see it all the way through. That's what I would say to my younger self.
1,000%. I agree too. And that's part of the advice I would have gave myself back then too. Like really slow down, because I feel like we all, as kids, we look forward to, oh, I want to be grown, or I want to be 18 so I can move out and jump into debt, right? Because you're going from high school to college, that's debt. Going from college to moving into your first apartment or first home, that's debt. Like everything is going, you walking straight into debt. As soon as you say, I'm an adult, here go to debt. Like, what's up? You want to be an adult?
Throw that cap in the air in high school, that's it. As soon as you throw that cap in the air, that's it.
Not free no more.
That's not, you grown now.
We ain't have no cash app. We ain't have nobody sending us money back then. Like even when we were in school, it was just like, okay, here go your FAFSA or your Pell Grant or whatever, your scholarships if you got that, and that was it. Like nobody was giving no college parties and bringing you stuff for your dorm room or your apartment or whatever. Nobody's sending you money. You figuring it out.
Dorm rooms looking
like
ages
kids. Exactly. Dorm rooms. Prom is looking like, we can't even get into that. That's another story for another day. So like we didn't have all the luxuries that they have now. So when we telling them, hey, stay in a child's place and do this and don't do that and just listen and pay attention to the well-building tools that you have around you or the environment that you have around you, pay attention to the friends that you have around you and nurture the gifts that they have in them. Like support your friends, wear their stuff. If they have a clothing line or a t-shirt line, wear their stuff. Don't go to dealers and your cousin or your friend make shirts and skirts and jeans, right? And I see it. I don't have to tell my daughter that. Like her friends do stuff or they do hair, she going to them. She not trying to go to the next person. And I feel like that generation is catching on to it. It's like it skipped a generation. For as our parents, they were taught get a job or get a degree, get a decent job, have insurance, all of those things. And then they tried to pass that down to us. Whereas we were kind of like rebellious and said, it's another way to do this.
Yeah. Watching them struggle.
Right. And it's like, that can't be the American dream. Wait, I think I posted the other day and I was talking about like the American dream of buy a house, that's debt. Go to school, that's debt. Get a job, that's gonna put you in debt because you can't afford to pay nothing at the job. Then you become an elderly person, right? And now you can't afford to keep taking care of yourself. You can't afford to go to the appointments and stuff. Because my last job was literally calling elderly people to come to their appointments, but they had to pay before. Like I was over the department where everybody was calling all of the elderly people, and it was just like, I can't afford this. I'm only getting paid X amount of dollars. I can't afford a copay for this and my bills and all these. And I said, I don't want to do this. Like, I ain't trying to be like that at 50, 60, 70 years old after you done worked from 16 to 70 and you still can't afford to do nothing. That's not what I want my future to look like, right? And so me being an entrepreneur was inevitable. Like I saw my dad be an entrepreneur. He was a hybrid entrepreneur, but he had so many successful things going on at one time. Like in this season, he was selling cars, and this season he was selling houses, or he had rental properties, and he was showing me like how to do certain stuff. And it's like, I probably wasn't paying attention, but coming around when I was in college, I'm like, let me help you manage these properties. And going straight into, after taking your class and going into Airbnb, was like, I know how to manage property. All I need to do is know how to get in the door without having the credit or the capital to purchase the property and things like that. So it's like stuff that our parents teach us. We have adults right now paying people thousands of dollars to tell them the same stuff. Like, be confident, do this, do that, don't do this, don't max out your credit and start building credit here. Like, we're grown adults and we're having to pay people to tell us the same stuff our parents taught us, but we ain't want to listen because we want to be grown. Right. It's crazy.
Yep.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy.
And that's good to hear because, like, you know, I didn't come up from that type of background. But what your father did for you, I'm doing for my kids. And sometimes I'm like, you know, I was sitting Chase after, you know, it's crazy. Everybody I'm talking about, you actually met before. You met my cousin Day Day at the Just for Dreamers, those Diaz, and now Chris Kennedy, who talked about insurance. That's our insurance guy. So right after we get our policies, I bring Chase and you know, sometimes I bring them to certain lunches and dinners that I'm having with people. That I know I know is not too adult, you know.
Right.
So like,
no, if we're not gonna be drinking.
You know, I'll have them come just to be a fly on the wall. You know, even if they're in their phone, I know the conversation is subconsciously going in their mind.
Right.
So when they become adults and have these conversations, or they hear them cut these conversations around them, it's not a foreign language. So I'll bring them to certain conventions I go to and things like that. I don't know if they're listening, but it's enough knowing that when I was young, my mother used to bring me to the Mary Kay meetings. I was, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, and then I got older and I got into direct sales myself. I'm like, oh, this is the thing my mother was taking. Oh, okay. You know, so what your father did for you, I'm doing now for my kids. And talking about life insurance and things like that, showing them certain things, showing them certain different bank accounts, you know, not just showing them how much money is in the account, but this is how we made the money. You know, even if it's just 30 seconds of that conversation, 5 minutes of that conversation, they might, you know, because I know Chase, he's like, his facial expression is numb, you know, he's a teenager. So I'm like, right. Are you listening? Like, you know, But sometimes he is, and sometimes I've asked him certain things, you know, that I'll tell him. I'm like, you know, what did I tell you about life? And you say, yeah, you always used to say, you do what's easy, life will be hard. You do what's hard, life will be easy. So certain things I do say to them, they pick up. But like you said, it's, you know, I do be feeling like how your dad felt. Like, I don't think he really listening, but I'm gonna get it out the way because he can't say I never told him. And who knows, they might be, because look how you turned out. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, no, I think that's
big ups to Pops. Don't play with it. I'm 100% daddy's girl. Like, that's never gonna change. And I'm a grown up, and I'm still here to say, what? I don't play like that with my daddy.
I play with Pops. I love it. No, that's dope.
What would you say is one of the biggest challenges that you're facing now? Like we talked about back then, we talked about like both of us being like parents immediately at 20 and stuff like that. And but what would you say right now is one of your biggest challenges that you're facing, either in a business project or a role that you're playing, and how are you tackling it?
So my challenge was taking on too many one-on-one coaching clients. So
Okay, I can see that.
um, yeah, I was taking on, too many one-on-one coaching clients. Even after, I'm like, I ain't taking, but then somebody ends up going on the site and they pay, and here we are, So I had to turn it off because here's the thing. It's like, and me and Keisha was talking about this the other day. Like, I'm already a natural like introvert, like heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So like I even when it came to this interview, like you and I talk like you my sister, we family pretty
Mm-hmm.
much. But I still get anxiety coming on to these calls, even if it's a one-on-one, a Zoom call. I just and sometimes some of the issues that I see some students going through because they missed a step. It always comes down to them missing a step. I got people in my ear that say, Justin, that has nothing to do with your fault. Every student does not always follow the instructions of the teacher.
Right.
But in my ear, I'm like, but dang, like they still came through my program, and I feel
In your mind,
that
it's like you're responsible. Yes.
yeah, in my mind, I'm responsible to get them out of that. But I just so that anxiety and the time it takes out to actually coach them on a weekly basis and things like that. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy it. I love it. It's a passion. I love seeing people win. I love seeing people. They send me all these, like, it's overwhelming the amount of testimonies of people's lives have changed. Like, I'll post something on my Facebook and somebody will comment saying, Justin, you changed my life. I'm like, dang, who's that? Like, I didn't even know we was friends on Facebook. But it's amazing to see. But what's most important is what is pouring that same energy into my kids. My kids, I don't want to say they're like a project to me, because I know there's some parents that treat their kids like a project, trying to get them in the NFL and the NBA. That's not it for me. As long as they passionate about it, if they want to do it, I'm their sponsor. We're going to get you training. We're going to make sure if this is something you're serious about. So that same energy I poured into my students and mentorship, I want to, I'm slowly closing that chapter and pouring that into my kids, and because Caleb is now at the age where he wants to play soccer, he wants to do things. Chase is, he's going on college tours and he's in middle school. You know what I'm saying? So I really want to see because it all comes from my experience growing up as a child. I didn't live with my mother and father in my household, missed out on that. So it really stems back to that. I want to see how far I can get them, what level of success I can get them. If I was able to do this, something like that for all these other people with passion, investing into that, I want to do the same thing, but into my kids and see how far they can go. So a lot of my time has been with, my kids and not just with sports and their academics, but just us going out and doing stuff, taking walks. We were supposed to do Six Flags today, but, water came down. So just that's my thing right now. But my challenge was, the time, the stress, the anxiety, pouring into so many people, the different personalities, the emails, energies, emails, text messages, all different time of the night and day. It just and not saying I didn't have a team. Like I had a team. You met some of my team when you came for Just for Dreams. So I had a team. I still have my admin, my assistant Isaiah, who's still under my team right now, but still that anxiety just kept messing with me, and I still had to take time for my family to pour into all these people that I've been helping over the last 3 years. And then, I told this story many times. The course is not something that I had planned. It's not something I had written down. It was just, timing and the amount of people that was asking me how to do short-term rentals, how to do Airbnb and manage and do all that stuff automated. The amount of people. So that's what made me, come up with the course. Yeah, tap into it, because I took so many courses myself. which was just for me and my family to make money. It wasn't for me to learn how to do a course or put a course out. I took so many courses that I was like, I think I could put one together, and it just happened to take off. You know, I didn't really put no marketing. I wasn't running no ads, nothing. You know, it was just
and the results.
Yeah, the results, and you know, word of mouth. You know, it was free advertisement because people got the results. You know, otherwise it would be bad advertisement. People are getting evicted left and right. You know, but I think that season, those 3 years that I spent that season, I'll still be dropping gems on social media. We still got the Facebook group, so I will still drop gems. But as far as like one-on-one coaching, I believe that chapter's closed. You know what I'm saying? My master classes is automated, so they'll still be running. It's, you know, evergreen. But right, I'm just all about family right now. I'll still educate. I need me to speak, pop up somewhere. I can teach and I'm still in the field. I got a unit on the 1st. I'm getting another unit August 1st. So, you know, my goal with that is, you know, I have a number that I want to hit monthly, just coming in profitable and passively. And we have other things we you know, Keisha and I have been talking about. You know, we want to, you know, parking lots. You know, we want peaceful, easy money, but a lot of it. You know, so we got things we got in the works that we want to get into. But that was my I guess you could say that was my challenge. But you know, I'm a problem solver, so here we are.
Seriously, like I feel like that was one of my challenges too, especially with the one-on-ones and people not feeling comfortable in group settings or asking questions and stuff like that. And I feel like I was devoting so much time to making sure that people win, because we, like you and I, are really passionate. One thing about it, first of all, we Scorpios, and we really passionate about helping people win, helping people do something that they set out to do. If you said my goal is to purchase a car, okay, I'm not stopping helping you until you get that car. If you say you want to get a house, I'm not stopping helping you until you get that house. But you have to be disciplined. And I came to realize that most people aren't as disciplined as we are. Like when we're coming off as the coach, they're looking at you as, oh, that's my friend. Like she's cool or he's cool. But y'all might be cool, but we not cool when it comes down to this. Like we handle a business, it's going to be black and white. And people don't realize that when they come into your space. So when you're coming into trying to help them accomplish something and they want to accomplish what it is that you've accomplished, that's a gem right there. I don't know if y'all caught it, but looking at people that have accomplished something that you're already looking to accomplish. I wouldn't have never enrolled in Justin's class if he didn't have a unit and he out here teaching people about getting units. That was one thing that replaced one of my incomes, right? So and just being it, people was telling me, oh, you should do a class. And I'm like, that's not my lane. I can send you to his class, right? And then, you know, we figure it out on our back end. But I feel like just looking at the person that you relate to doing something that you want to do, that's not enough. You have to be disciplined enough to take the same steps that they took to get what they wanted to get, right? You're not willing to do so. Sometimes you just like, oh, well, I wanted to go out to eat. Okay, well, that out to eat money could have been your down payment for your unit. That out to eat money could have been down payment for your system, for your class, for your coach, or whatever the case may be. That takes discipline to say, I'm going to skip Cheddars, I'm going to skip Flemings, I'm going to skip whatever to go get this down payment or to not get this gift for my anniversary, but to also get a gift that's giving me passive income. So that's things like that people are not willing to do. So I had to relinquish the responsibility of helping people win. And I put it back in perspective of, this is your role in helping yourself win. And this is my responsibility to you to help you win. But if you're not participating actively in your role, then my role isn't going to mean anything.
That's right. My mentor used to say, participate in your own rescue.
Yes. Yes. I feel like so many people are not doing it, and then they just feeling like, oh, well, it didn't work for me, or oh, I got scammed, or oh, this, you know, this person is not who they say they are, they're a fraud, and that's not always the case. What did you do? Like, how are you helping yourself? Did you show up on the calls? Were you always having an excuse? Were you always canceling? Were you like, what was the problem within the program, right? Because people like to pull things out of programs, especially with us, right? Like not us physically, but us as Black Black people, as Black entrepreneurs. That's what I mean by us, right? And people saying, oh, well, I went through this class and I didn't get no clients. So I went through this class and I didn't get no B&Bs, right? Fortunately, in our case, that has not been the case. It's all a matter of, well, I've been took your class a year ago and I still never hit the button, or I took your class a year ago and I only had 2 or 3 clients. That has been our, response on the lower end from people who have not taken accountability for their actions from taking our classes and help in our steps, right? But I feel like there has to be a place where a time where you place yourself in a right position. Like if you sitting around people that's not doing nothing, that's not hyping you up, that's not supportive of the things that you want to do out of life, then you need to change your circle. Like my pastor always said, if you're the smartest person in your circle, you need a new circle. If you're the brightest apple on the tree, the tree might be rotten. So right. I'm sure
you're not in the circle, you in a cage.
Yes. And people always talk about like their environment or crabs in a bucket or somewhere where they from and these things. Like, okay, what are you doing to get yourself out of the environment? Because I'm in book clubs, I'm in coaching programs, I'm in mentorships. I have so many other things going on that I've invested in to make sure that my personal and professional development continues, even when life gets overwhelming, even when things aren't going my way, even when it's a slow season, even when kids not right, whatever not right, friendships going bad or whatever the case may be, I still have something being poured into me, right? And sometimes it's the space of, it's just a season for those people to fall off, right? It's not anything that you're doing right or wrong. It's just a season of this. The time is up. They've expired. Things expire. People expire. It's okay. Speaking of that, I want to ask you, tell me, like, I would say, what's your 3 most influential nouns, meaning person, places, or things that you would recommend that has impacted you? Like it could be a book, it could be somewhere that you went, it could be a person that has mentored you or coached you or just poured into you.
Oh man, person. I would say my most influential person who has like really like pushed me and set the bar would be my sister. So that. I'm gonna send her this part too. But yeah,
shout out to the sister.
she's my older sister. She basically raised me. She's about 12 years older than me. And when my parents went through their situation when I was younger, my sister, and her husband, my brother-in-law, they took me in. But she would. She's not much of a talker. She's a Taurus, so she's cold-blooded.
Oh Lord, trust me, I know that's my baby. She a Taurus, and I'd be like
cold-blooded. Yep. So, but just the way that she set the bar for our family, like she was buying real estate in her early 20s, in New York. So properties that she would buy when she was 21, 22, they're now worth over $1 million. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't learn that till I got older. She started buying property early here in Atlanta back in the 2000s, 2003, 2004. And just certain things she would say to me, like when we was sleeping on the couch, and in a small studio with my mother, but I had a BMW. This is when I was young and immature. She's like, she was saying stuff like, you got a BMW, but you're sleeping on mommy couch. I'm like, damn. I'm like, why you gotta say it like that though? But you're right. I didn't like the delivery, but she was right. And I ended up, as I got older, mature, and grew, I had a conversation with her, like, you're my sister, she's from Brooklyn, so she's a hustler, don't have a college education, was taking me, she also had my nephew, Marquis, she had him very young. We 3 years apart. I remember her taking us to school with her because she was a teenage mom. My mother was working, so she had us in class with her in high school, so, but seeing her rise from that to where she is now, right. My niece, Sierra, who's also, that's her daughter. She manages my properties in Texas. She's an attorney. just seeing how she raised her children, how she set the bar. To me, she was the first really successful person in our family. Although she didn't show her success how today's success supposed to look.
Exactly.
On social media, she could put up stats, but she don't even have none of that. But she's a go-getter. She likes money. She likes nice things. And she likes that for her and for her family, not for social media. So I admire that about her. I can go on and on, but that's a person that has inspired me, that has pushed me with just certain ways she would say things. It's not how a motivational speaker would talk. It's how you would talk to your brother, how you talk to your family, and to put certain things like one of my mentors used to say, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. Perspective is everything. And that's something that she would remind me, and certain things that she would say to me is like, you got this going on, but you could be doing this. You got X, Y, and Z. And she, don't get me wrong, she's not perfect at all. You know what I'm saying? But neither am I. Neither is any of us. But when it came to how somebody carried themselves and really, she's not even, she came to this country, when she was like 11, 12 from Trinidad. I'm the first person in my family born in America. So seeing how she came over here with my mother, single mom, trying to find their way, to now having millions upon millions in real estate, that's what I be telling myself. I want to be a low key millionaire, like off the grid. You know what I'm saying? So that's my person. But of course, my mother's my biggest inspiration because she did the best she could with what she had and what she knew.
Right.
Something my mother always used to say too that used to hit me was, I gotta work 2-3 jobs because none of y'all making enough money to take care of me. Now both of her kids are,
yeah. That's man, full circle. That's
but it's certain things that they used to say to me, certain things my mother used to say, my sister used to say, which pissed me off when I heard it at the time. It kind of hit your ego, burn your chest a bit. But when you actually start to mature and see, even social media brings it. I'm like, yeah, like you got this, you got a Benz, but you sleeping here, and I'm like, I can't even say shit because that used to be me. That
used to be me. 100%. Let me ask you, what was your favorite trip that you've ever taken?
Oh man, so I traveled a lot. I got Thailand, I got Singapore. I learned how to ice skate in Amsterdam. Because the company I was in was a travel company. The multi-level company I was in, that were marketing, it was a travel company. So I traveled a lot, but I would say Paris. I've been to Paris. But I would say Amsterdam because it was my first trip I took by myself. And I actually, I went over there by myself. Walked they shopping district. That was the first time I seen a Tesla store in like literally had the car in the window on the corner of the street. Like it looked like Fifth Avenue.
I heard they strict in Amsterdam.
Oh man, it's clean and they not big on fashion. So I remember in New York, this was when I was living in New York. Because they ride bikes, and they shoes is dirty, so they got Converses and Vans. So I'm walking around the little shopping district, and of course I got my social media, and I'm seeing that this new pair of J's came out, these Yeezys came out, lines wrapped around. So I walked in one of the stores in Amsterdam. I was like, yo, y'all got these? He was like, yeah, and we have the whole shipment because nobody in Amsterdam cares about that stuff. So you can take as much as you want, and it didn't cost as much, And at the time, I'm like 20, 22, 23. But yeah, that was my favorite trip. I would say Amsterdam. Food was good, and I learned how to ice skate. There was an ice skating ring right across the street from my hotel, and I was like, I'm gonna go put some skates on this. Ain't nobody can take no pictures of. Nobody knows me, so if I bust my ass, nobody knows me. But that was a fun experience. That was cool.
That's dope. All right.
Another thing, we stoners. So Amsterdam, I did go to the coffee shop. I did go to the coffee shop. So I'll tell you that. Like they got those signs, you know, the construction road signs with the lights that tell you like, you know, merge because of construction. They got signs like that that says, you know, don't take anything off of the street because you might not make it back home. You got to get it at the coffee shop. Yeah.
Okay, so the coffee shops is like bodegas.
It's like cookies. It's like
okay, gotcha.
This was like, because remember, you know, I was 22, 23 at the time, so this was before cookies. But this it was one of those type of like a smoke shop, but they make, you know, and they got a whole lounge area and everything like that. But don't take nothing off the street because it might be, you know, might not be something good that'll help you get back. You might, yeah. For real.
It's so funny. Look, my mama think everything is fentanyl. She be like, "They smoking that stuff. It's like fentanyl." I'm like, "Ma, like everything is not fentanyl." Oh my god. Speaking of trips, we going to Toronto. Of course, we had you in Tulum last year, but now we're going to Toronto in less than 30 days, about 28 days now. What are you bringing to the table for Toronto? Let the people know.
Oh, most definitely. So I'm very, very, very all in, like to the point, like I said, the coaching, the mentorship. You know, I'm still tapping in, but I'm all in with my goal. I have a goal to do 100,000 a month passively just off of my short-term rental portfolio. What I'm sharing in Toronto is going to show you how to do that, because once you learn the skill, it's just simply rinse and repeat. You know, pretty mixed portfolio. I have private homes through private landlords. I have duplexes, you know, apartments. So it's pretty diversified, but I'm just showing in Toronto how to do that, you know, from step one, from A to Z, you know, step by step, you know, different methods, you know, making sure you make, if you're going to do this the arbitrage way, you know, you want to make sure you know, making your rent by a certain date, making your, you know, profits by a certain time. So all of that stuff I'm going through, different, you know, systems, automation, you know, how to automate my cleaning, how to automate my communication, everything, you know, how I'm listed on multiple platforms using booking.com. I'm using Verbal. I'm using, of course, you know, Airbnb, Furnish Finder, Hello Landing, different platforms. Because I that's something else I learned in business, you know, was not putting all your eggs in one basket. Why did I end up having to go back to a job after that business shut down? All of my eggs was in one basket. You know, so what happens if I wake up, Airbnb got hacked by Elon Musk? I don't know. You know, who the hell knows? Who is doing what it's doing? You know, but you always have to, you know, be aware of what's unknown, because especially today's time with AI, you know, I'm going to be talking about that, how I implement artificial intelligence when it comes to communicating with guests and so on and so forth. So I'm going to be talking about that. But in today's time, we live in a very unpredictable time, like from just walking outside, people being people, to technology doing what technology does, to the way we communicate, the way we travel. You know, you just never know. These people really thought they was going to go to the Titanic and come back up. You just never know. You just never know. You know what I'm saying?
I should took it there.
You just never know. You know what I'm saying? So we're not putting all of our eggs into one basket, whether it be you know, when it comes to short-term rentals, whether it comes to taxes. I see Carita Clouds tapped in, whether it be through systems and automation. You know what I'm saying? We are not putting all of our eggs into one basket. So, I'm gonna be doing my thing. So I'm super excited. Last year, a lot of people got results after my talk. So I'm definitely hoping that, you know, those who are in attendance can digest the information and get results, you know, just as fast. You know what I'm saying? And even more. You know what I'm saying? I want to see testimonies coming in. Yo, Just, I'm doing $1 million a month. You know, when y'all told me y'all did y'all 7 figures, man, I almost flipped the table. You know, like I love hearing that. I love hearing that. You know, Yamu was my first 7-figure student, and she's on everybody's podcast, killing the game. You know, so I just love to see it, man. And I know there's a few others out there as well. I ain't gonna mention all the names, but it's just a beautiful thing to see what, something that wasn't really planned, the results it's been able to do for people just looking, especially coming out of the pandemic. There's a lot of people that just really didn't know. I literally had students I was working with that were in prison, in the jail system, learning this information. I had people that I was literally, they were in quarantine, recovering from COVID, and I was coaching them. Shout out to Kenji, and I had somebody else who lost their job, in the middle of us, in the one-on-one coaching. And, she actually came to the event in Brooklyn, Ashley, and she's doing 6 figures. You know what I'm saying? She actually just bought her first property that she's going to flip out in Michigan. So just seeing how this seed has really blossomed into the amount of people that's been able to touch. And I'm just grateful that, this season has came. But everything, all good things must come to an end. You know what I'm saying? So I'm here we are.
It's not an end, it's a pivot.
It's a pivot. It's a pivot.
It's not the end. It's a pivot. It's a pivot.
Yeah, that's a better word. It's definitely not ending, because I got books. Like, I'm about to turn up on my marketing on my short-term rental books. So yeah, it's a pivot. Yeah. We still got information to give out. But yeah, so the one-on-one coaching has taken a pivot. Put it that way. We out here.
Pivot to passive. Yes, that's amazing. That's amazing. All right, so what's one question that you wish I would have asked you that I didn't, or that you would have answered?
How much money you make? Nah, just kidding. Nah. People really be putting you like, yo, Jess, how much money you making, bro? I'm like, I don't want.
That's personal.
That's something my sister used to say. Never show. Listen, when you show people how much money you're making, that's when you open up opportunities for them to come looking for you, suing you, looking for a reason to sue you. So her and my mother told me this. It's crazy how much they fuss and argue, but they are like, they got the same words. My mother say, never show anybody your funds. My sister say, you don't want nobody coming and looking for you. So, but yeah, it's always great. It's really nothing.
That's funny you said that too, because I've been seeing a lot of people like get caught up on social media, and like that's the main reason. If you watch, like, I know you be watching it, like them little spliffs on YouTube, how people get caught and how they was using this much money or how they was laundering money, and because they always start flexing. Like, you gotta think, anybody that never had nothing is going to start being flashy. They're gonna start flexing. They're gonna start showing off. They're gonna start feeling like y'all gotta see me.
They want everybody to know. They want everybody to know. I got it, but you gotta. Here's the thing, man. Y'all gotta realize y'all showing off for people that don't know you, don't give a damn about you, don't owe you nothing. They not feeding you. Only thing they want is what you got.
Yep.
They want your relationships. They want your house. They want your car. They want what you got. They feel like they deserve it and not you. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to, rest in peace to the great Nipsey Hussle. In his own neighborhood. And I had somebody break it down to me, like, you out here doing this for this person, this kid, that kid. The whole neighborhood is talking about that kid, how he's went off to college, buying houses, raising his family, and you bragging about this other kid to your kid, and now your kid is like, envious, and now they want to go out and take from them because they want it. So it's like, listen, man, everybody is not happy for your success. So you gotta put in your mind what I have in my mind. When I started making more money than I ever made in my life, we traveled. Whatever bags Keisha wanted, she got them. Like, you know what I'm saying? We got it out our cars paid off. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever we got it out of our system. My mom, for Christmas, I'm dropping stacks on my mama,
Right.
That's what I did. I didn't go on the internet. I went because my family, I wanted to impress my family, because they was the ones telling me, why you know what I'm saying, on the couch with a BMW. You not making enough money to take care of me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it wasn't. That was my fuel to show them, yup, Your boy is good now. Your son is good now.
Remember that? Remember me?
Remember, your baby brother's good now. You know what I'm saying? So y'all, I wanted to make them proud. It wasn't the outside world. I wanted those are the only people I needed to impress. My kids, you know, they go into private school, paying a grip for that. You know what I'm saying? But this is who I do it for. This is what I do it for, and that's the only validation I need. But for those people that need validation from the outside world, that'll get you killed. That'll destroy a lot of things. May not get you killed, but it can be your biggest downfall trying to show off for the outside world. Somebody's always plotting, especially post-pandemic. There's a lot of people that's hungry. There's a lot of people that don't have nothing to lose, and they're willing to risk it all to take from you. So you ain't gonna see me posting no cars. Oh, I just gotta know. I'll post a work truck, but I'm not. You know, I'm not posting none of that. Nope. Even when I was at your place, you notice I didn't put when we was playing Uno. I didn't turn my phone out. That's because people. I don't like people knowing where I live.
Exactly. Y'all know I don't even post my house. Like far as the internet.
So and that's another reason
I don't even know if I have a house.
that's another reason I didn't post it. I'm like, who am I to post what we got going on here when she don't even post her own house? And there's some people that don't pay attention to that. You might have invited a couple people, and they just, oh, we playing Uno. Oh, look at the backyard. They got a nice house. They got a TV outside in the front, and you can't but you gotta think that's cool. It's a beautiful house, but does Dricka post her house on the internet? So don't do that. You know. So, and I know that's how I am. Like, we don't invite people to the house. I don't like people knowing when you come in my neighborhood, you don't even got service on your phone. So don't even try to try nothing on me. Because when you come here, nobody gonna find you. You try something on me. And I got a crazy Jamaican wife. Oh yeah, we gonna get rid of you. We gonna get rid of you. So don't come try nothing.
This was amazing. This was fun. Where can our listeners find you online?
Hey yo, Just AYOOOJUS. That's my Instagram. Anything that I want to show you is there. Anything I want the world to know is there.
Is there, yes. Thank you so much. Well, Justin, I appreciate you spending your evening with us, even though we had to reschedule, of course. Here at Convos Podcast, we celebrate people that are winning in their industry each and every Wednesday. We call it Wednesday. We even spell it different. WINSD, right? It's Wednesday. And thank you again. Happy Wednesday. Be sure to tell all your entrepreneur friends and everybody that you know to listen each and every Wednesday. Watch live or listen on their favorite podcast platform. And until next week, I want to see you winning and wealthy. Y'all have a good night. Thanks, Just.
Let's get it. Let's